then when we start doing the work as feminines on this journey, we go through this glow up, through this, empowerment, we heal, we grow, we expand. Sometimes some feminists fall into the spiritual ego and they flip the coin. So you no longer see your masculine as, this on a pedestal, this perfect ideal man, but you start to, go more into the darkness side of that coin, and you judge him. Some feminists start judge, like, he's not doing the work, he's so much behind. And it's all an illusion of this journey. It's deliberately designed, this illusion, for us to release the ego, for us to stop trusting what we see with these eyes, but start to see through our heart, start to see with this eye. He's never that much behind. We're one frequency. It's physically, universally not possible, okay? A little bit, yes, because we move through realms as feminines on a daily basis. We move through timelines, through realms. We quantum jump, we move through the veil, 5D, 4D, we operate on a 4D level on a regular basis. So they're always a little bit, they're more attached to the physical timeline and the linearity of time. But on a level of a healing of a soul, they're never that behind. It's just an illusion. So maybe, and remember what I was saying, union will never happen until you see your divine as equal. So as long as you see them as they're so amazing and I'm not worthy, union is not going to happen. And then when you flip it and you look at them, you look down on them like, oh my God, I'm so divine, I've done this glow up and this healing, and he's still in this energy of like in and out, he doesn't know what he wants, he's not a divine mess, union won't happen. Equality, compassion, unconditional love, whatever you feel, because remember, the theme of this reading is things are not the way you see them. Things are not what they appear to be. There is a final layer of illusion that you haven't broken free from, that you're not seeing through. Mentally materialistic, more concerned of what people think of them. I think we were feeling into that, what we said in previously. You would be maybe I think that's the case, that you either shared oh my God, we have divine feminine at the bottom of the deck. Look at it. Yes or no. We have yes or no, cards of yes and no. You see this? I feel like, to be honest, this is your ultimate message from your guides. If you're asking, is this union, is it time? Yes or no, but you choose. You're the one who you're going to take that choice, because you lead the way. You're the spiritual teacher. How are you behaving right now? How are you acting? You're sitting on a high horse. You're judging him. How is he approaching? You're not having compassion. You've already gossiping about, the he return. It's a private thing. You shouldn't be sharing that with anyone. When your masculine returns, again, you lock that energy in an incubator. It's not something to be shared. Have you ever seen, there's so much nonsense about this online, but we usually attract content, whether it's a true content or a charlatan content. But have you ever seen a true divine feminine, right? A real feminine, again, who is compassionate, who is loving, who is demure, who is gentle, who is soft, who loves herself, at one point being like, ta-da, we're in union. It doesn't happen. It happens in silence, in peace, in humility. This is how union comes. It's not something to gloat, right? But I was also hearing with this yes and no, that maybe you are feeling into this hot and cold energy. This is how you perceive it, because, there are days that he reaches out and he talks to you, but then a couple of days he doesn't, and he watches you. So you think to yourself, as we tend to think, judgmentally, oh, he has the time to go on social media, but he doesn't have the time to say something to me. But he is himself taking his own pace. He needs time to anchor in this masculine energy, right? It doesn't happen from one day to another. Again, I've mentioned this before. Balancing. There's still balancing that needs to happen in your feminine energy. This is the one big fat lesson. One big fat lesson for you. All right. we're gonna tap into his energy, but I want to tap into yours to maybe do some shadows, things that you are not maybe seeing, that your guides want you to really see and know and acknowledge and realize. So let's do that. Hold on. Let's tap into your energy from a perspective of shadows, from a perspective of shadow sides. Lizards. Sorry, so you wouldn't be, I don't think you're fully listening to your intuition. Lizard is very intuitive. Lizard almost has sixth sense. You're blinded by your ego. You're blinded by the illusions of this journey. You went down into the 3D. Okay? As feminines, we have to be anchored in 4D, okay? Coming from a place of spirit, our own expanded consciousness all the time, with the capacity to travel to spirit realm back and forth, right? Especially those of us who are shamans, because we navigate between the realms, right? But I feel like the moment he came in, I feel there's a part of you, the intuitive part of you, that says to you, this is a final lesson, this is a final calibration, have compassion, you are equals, he is reflecting to you. You would know all these things. But in the moment they're happening, you're numbing your sixth sense. You're looking from a 3D, like what you see is what you get, right? So you see that he's not right. You're making assumptions. Maybe we should do my Divine Feminine deck as well. Unicorn. Unicorn is your third eye. Didn't I say that? You're looking through these eyes instead of these eyes. Open your third eye. Connect to your third eye. Connect to the unseen. You are judging the situation by what you are seeing in the physical. Not by what is actually happening. What is your intuition saying to you? The unseen, the unknown, the untouchable, the intangible. Firefly. The impatient firefly. The one that doesn't... Firefly, when it's in the shadow side, is this energy that doesn't know how to sort of remain constant and remain balanced. It goes like this, right? So you're still, it's coming to my mind, I'm hearing that you may still as well be dependent on him and on the emotion. So the days he comes in, it's like you're like, right, and then he disappears and you're a little bit angry. Obviously it's not the way it was in the beginning, right? It's a completely, you are already in your feminine energy. I don't feel you are anchored in that feminine energy. That's why they're illuminating those final things that you need to address. You're not listening to your intuition, you're getting impatient, you are a little bit, energetically unstable. Your day and your energy depends right now on things that are happening in 3D, which is not something that's supposed to happen. Yeah, and here's the peacock. Okay, so there are two sides in this deck. How I see peacock, there are two things. One is the classic peacock, okay, being peacocky with your beautiful tail. Look at me, how wonderful I am. It's a bit of a high horse energy. But the shadow side actually in this deck of a peacock is not just accepting things for what they are, not being able just to digest things. So you had an expectation. You had an expectation of how things will happen, and maybe there's I'm hearing that it may be that you still haven't fully forgotten your masculine for everything that happened. This is why you're expecting that he's going to make it up to you. He's not supposed to make anything up to you. You were both on a journey. You were both wounded. You are one. The quality of your souls were always same woundings. You even had tumultuous lives, which usually indicates that you go through same shadows, and deep down the shadows that we carry, the traumas that we carry are same. It's just the different environment that these shadows were created that makes us feel like we're different, but we're actually birds of a feather, made of one clay, by one mold, right? So I feel that there may be something that, you're not just there's acceptance that needs to happen. It is what I feel like. Sorry, because I was talking about that you may not have forgiven certain things. So maybe you were expecting. Remember, I've mentioned that this grand gesture that he's gonna come in on a white horse with flowers and diamond rings, and I love you, I'm sorry. But if you expect that, it means that deep down you feel like he needs to make something up to you, and that's not the case. What happened was of your both doing, right? It wasn't just him. And again, it's an illusion that there's some feminists think that, oh my God, yes, they do certain things towards us that are a little bit more colorful, right? And I've done a video about this, comparing avoidance to anxiety. So you may want to scroll down and find that, or just go to my YouTube Healing and Spirituality playlist to find that. But I've mentioned in that video that oftentimes we condemn and we judge more the avoidant ones because they tend to do things that are frowned upon in our society, and then they look like they're bad. They avoid, they ghost, they escape, they run away, they block, right? And on the other side, we have anxious people who are just as wounded, and it's just as big of a distortion as avoidance. It's just that the distorted masculine sort of a environment that we live in doesn't shame these things as much. So we are being pushy, we are being insistent, but it's seen like, oh, you're just trying so hard, right? But no, you're not. You're not loving yourself. You're being anxious. So everything that happened, we've all done harm to each other. We've all done harm to ourselves. Yes, the masculine, as he comes in, he has to apologize. He has to take accountability for the things that he has done. It is a part of anchoring in masculine energy because it comes with humility, like I said, and accountability. Those are two very important qualities of divine masculines. But as they ask for forgiveness, as they take accountability for the actions, for how they've hurt us, how they ignored us, how they didn't see the truth, the correct response of the feminine is that there's nothing to forgive. Everything that happened, it's long forgotten and forgiven. I've done that, I process it. Number 2, I've done things to you as well. I've pushed you as well. And number 3, things just happened because they had to happen. You have nothing to apologize for. And if you expect this grand gesture and this, things to be made up to you, it means that you still haven't fully understood what I just said and haven't fully forgiven to your masculine. But more than anything, you're just not showing the capacity to just accept things for what they are. You have an expectation. So you have an expectation what he's going to do, how he's going to act, and you're not accepting fully that things just are what they are. And which means that, again, what do I always highlight? The feminine has to release the how and the when. The how and the when belongs to the masculine. We have to trust our masculine. Fully trust in our masculine. The how and the when. And you're attached to the how. You were expecting something specific. And now you cannot just digest the situation for what it is. We have the oyster and we have the mouse. Mouse is fearful energy. So I feel like it's also controlling. It's also over engineering. It's also obsessively like this, right? So things have to be the way I want them to be. If not, I'm just going to clam up. So I think that you're not opening yourself fully to the situation. You're not surrendering to the leadership of your masculine. That's what I'm hearing. You're not fully surrendering to the leadership of your masculine. You want to control, which is the distorted feminine, but it's also masculine quality. Lead the way is the masculine quality, and controlling is the feminine. You want to control the narrative. You're not really releasing fully and trusting fully to how he's going to play these things out. How he's going to, in the 3D, he is the one that needs to get you into union. You are the creatrix. In 5D, you need to create energetically for the power of the creatrix, for the power of your womb, for the power of your femininity. You have to create energy of union. And only then the masculine is able to take that and to ground that into existence. But how and when he grounds that into existence and leads that in the physical, it is up to him. You have to relinquish that control. You have to trust in his leadership. And you're trying to control the narrative. But I'm also hearing that it may be that you are a little bit fearful still, that if you don't control, if you don't do certain things, he's gonna disappear, he's gonna run away. We had the runner, right? So just trust. If you know, remember, we had yes and no. If you play this out correctly, if you tap to your intuition, if you tap into that energy again, elegance, delicacy, care, compassion, demure, privacy of the divine feminine, if you stabilize your energy, if you don't go in and out, if you continue to live your life, regardless if he reaches out that day or he doesn't reach out that day, if you fully surrender and trust in his leadership, it's going to be a yes. But if you fail all these tests, it only means you cannot shift the blame on him. It only means that you are not anchored in your feminine energy, so you will push him back into separation for another cycle. All right. Let's do 5 of these as well, and then we're going to see his energy. Shamanic healing. We have shamanic healing. That's clarifying that lizard. So maybe you need to, you've been doing some spiritual practices. Maybe you need to reach out. I'm hearing wisdom of your ancestors. Call the archetypes of the divine feminine. So call the divine feminines in your lineage to guide you through this, to help you through this. I was hearing shamanic music as well. Maybe it's something that you resonate with. Boundaries. Wanted to connect to a mentor. Connect to a mentor. You know, this journey is very unique. This journey is very individual, and I highlight this to you guys always. This is why us feminines, we cannot compare. And I oftentimes, this is my advice to you, coming from my own experience. I am not a fan and an advocate of divine feminists on a true twin flame journey, creating communities, talking to each other, and I feel like some coaches and spiritual teachers, they do that and they promote that, and I feel it has a completely opposite effect. This journey is meant to be a journey of solitude. So you're not meant to have gazillions of other feminines, right, who go through the same things, because our journey is very unique. How long we're going to be in separation is very unique. What will happen in that separation is going to be very unique. What shadows are we, going to be overcoming and healing and integrating is also very unique. And some divine feminines, this is why I always say, don't engage with too much content online, because 90% of it is rubbish. Don't engage in communities, especially that 90% of feminines who think they're on a twin flame journey, they actually connected to a karmic. So in initial stages, don't go towards, the communities and talking about this and comparing. Go for a mentor. Find yourself another divine feminine, whoever you resonate with, whether it's someone like myself who's a reader in a channel, or whether it's someone who's shamanic healer, medicine woman, whoever you resonate, but a feminine who has been through this journey, whose life's path is linked to leading other divines, it's also very important, and who already herself is anchored in her divine feminine energy. Now, once we find that mentor, once we have that mentor, we work with that mentor, which is incredibly important for this specific journey. especially because it's such a solitude kind of a journey. Some feminines are being led by that mentor until the very end, until the moment they actually, get into union. And some feminines, because our path are so individual, they reach their divine feminine, their inner union, they're anchored in there, and the mentor sort of releases them. It said like you're your own sixth sense, you're your own. You don't need me anymore. You don't need healing. You are in your divinity now. It's just a matter of divine timing, right? However, sometimes, and I feel this may be a shadow of this collective, because there is a bit of a spiritual ego here, and we talked about this. Some feminines, they it's sort of in my experience, it's sort of something that has to happen, right? So we have our mentor, we have either one or two healers sometimes, that we engage in healing sessions through that separation, those years of separation. And the moment comes that we have to cut the cord. Sometimes we do it ourselves. Sometimes it's our healer and our mentor that suggests that this is what needs to happen. You're good on your own. And sometimes as well, it just, life does this, orchestrates a situation when the cord is cut from your healer, because you have to stand on your own feet. And it doesn't matter that you cannot, it doesn't mean that you cannot, still, have some teachers and mentors through specific spiritual practices, or every now and then engage in certain spiritual practices with healer that holds space for you. But for that specific journey, you're done, you're good. Now it's a matter of divine timing, right? And it's something that, because we're all healers, and because it's that teacher student becoming a mentor, right? It's that moment of graduation. It's that moment of, now you are the teacher, now you are the healer. Go, my child, right? It has to happen. And it also relates to us being having to really ground ourselves and anchor ourselves in our confidence to become that healer for others, right? And how it happens is very different, right? Some feminists, they have a healer into a moment, they're ready to be healers. Some feminists already are a healer and they still have a healer. Some feminines, again, they have a healer until they reach union. Some feminines, they separate from their healers years before they're going to get into union, right? Again, it's very individual. This is why we should not compare. But because we have a bit of a high horse, a bit of a spiritual ego energy, shadow energy for this collective, it may be that you stopped using services and consult a healer. Or maybe I'm hearing for some of you, maybe you never have. Maybe you're one of those people that went into thinking, no, you're your own spiritual guru, and and yeah, it's true. At one point, we become our own healer. We become our own voice of intuition. We're so deeply connected to our higher self. And ultimately, every healer, the objective of every healer is to get you there. Healer is always a chapter. Working with a healer is always a chapter. But I feel like whether you realize it or not, you're not there yet. There's a reason that we have this card on the table. Connect to a mentor. There are things that you're not seeing. And I say this to you guys as a mantra. Collective readings are not meant to heal you. Collective readings are to get to know your healer before you sign up for a session, to know what to expect, to get to know me if I'm the one that you're going to sign up for a session. Collective readings are readings that you can maybe tap into in between your sessions, but always understanding and detaching that this is a collective. So I might not be seeing clearly that this is not my collective. And they're also, sometimes it happens that we go through difficult moments of time and we cannot afford, for example, to go to the healer every week or every 2 weeks. So we decide that what we can allow ourselves is to have a healing session every month or every 2 months. And in between, we tap into these collectives and the messages, collective messages that our healer is, creating for everyone to see. But the actual healing happens on the deep shadow work sessions, on one-on-one sessions. This is where we're sure that this is actually are energy, and that we're not led by delusion and lack of discernment, right? So the reason we have it here, I feel like you would need a little bit of guidance, that you maybe, if you really feel like this reading landed, whether you had a healer that you no longer work with, or whether you don't ever had a healer, or whether you resonate with me or someone else, I feel like you would need a little bit of guidance. Ultimately, it's your choice, and what's meant to happen will happen, but you were really close. Why to prolong it? There's a reason I was, blabbing about this, and I was channeling and hearing all these things. So maybe, you resigned of services of your healer a little bit too soon, or maybe on your journey you never actually found a good healer who could hold space for you. Again, there's a lot of charlatans out there, and there's a lot of people as well. Sorry, it's a deviation, but I feel like, it's needed. Out of all the healers that you have out there available, right, for you, I usually see 3 categories, right? One, unfortunately, is charlatans. It doesn't matter whether these people actually have some sort of activated gifts or not, but they do it for the money, they do it for the views, they do it for the validation. They're not actual frequency of a true healer, charlatans, right? Then there's another category of healers who are healers and are good healers, but they may as well still be somewhere on a journey of healing. Maybe they are healers, but I've done many videos about this to teach you guys about awakening. There's 2 types of awakening: true Kundalini awakening that awakens us as a channel, and awakening of a mind when we start to work with our energies. And we can become healers, but we don't necessarily have those gifts of being psychics and, or clairs activated, right? So these healers can also be good healers and great healers for most people. But Twin Flame journey is such a magical journey, such a specific journey, such a unique journey, such a rare journey, and journey that creates real healers. It awakens your Kundalini, this, right? So sometimes when you find a healer who themselves are not, fully awakened, just like a shamanic healer, Reiki healer, right? They may not have the capacity to deal with everything that is going on with you, right? This is why I always say, for Twin Flames specifically, find yourself a healer who also went through it and who actually is an awakened channel, right? And then there's this 3rd category of healers who are the designated healers, those that it was part of their dharmic path. They were awakened through Kundalini awakening. They're mediums, they're psychics, they're seers, they're oracles, they're fully connected to the divine, walking Christ consciousness, right? And those are usually healers that deal with the heavy duty, right? Those are not healers that, you come to them randomly once a year to, clear a little bit of your karmic connection. Those are usually healers that create other healers. Those are healers that are builders of new earth, right? But within that category, you also have to actually resonate with your healer. We're all just as well humans, right? We all have our own path, and the fact that someone is an amazing healer, they can be an amazing healer, but they might not be your healer. We all have different qualities, right? So I have my ways, and my readings are very long. I oftentimes love to explain things, even over explain, give you analogies, every angle of a specific concept, to give it to you so you fully understand it, right? I am a tough love kind of a person. I have my own style. I have my own gift. So this will resonate with some, but it won't with others, right? So again, I believe that when the student is ready, the healer appears and the teacher appears. And when we pray to our guides for the right healer, this person will appear, and we will know in our sixth sense, in our intuition, this is my person. It usually emanates that big sister energy. I want to be like her when I grow up, right? I love how she is. I love her voice. I love her style, because it's that authenticity that attracts the karmic contract that we have, the soul contract that we have. But some people ignore it. Some people sit in this mentality of thinking that if I'm going to sign up for a healer, it means that I'm not yet healed. Or if I still have a healer, it means that I am not ready. So there's a reason it was all coming to my mind. Just examine it. There's really nothing wrong, and nothing wrong when having someone who mentors us and having someone who holds that space for us. It's not, we're all equals. It's a thing that some people don't understand. The fact that I am your healer doesn't mean that I am superior and you're